Hey everyone, ready to dive in. Today we're tackling something you guys have been asking about social media and relationships. And let me tell you, this research is kind of wild. It's like, have you ever felt like your phone is the other man or the other woman in your relationship? Like it's competing for attention.
Well, and this is the thing. It's not just you being like paranoid or
Yeah.
anything. There's actual science behind why that phone can feel so intrusive. It's all about how our brains work. That reward system. You know, how we get that little rush from food or, other fun stuff.
Right.
Social media has kind of figured out how to tack into that same system. So every notification, every it's like a little dopamine hit.
So we're basically fighting a losing battle against our own biology here.
Pretty much, yeah. And the thing is, when we keep giving in to those digital dopamine hits, we actually start to crave them even more. And that can lead to, get this, it's called phubbing. Basically, phone snubbing, putting our phones above our partners, even if you don't realize we're doing it.
Okay, phubbing. So there's actually a term for when my partner's glued to their phone at dinner. Figures. But seriously, is this really that big of a deal?
Oh, it's a big deal. Think about it. Nearly 25% of adults in relationships have said that something they saw on social media made them feel iffy about their own relationship. And it's not just about, feeling ignored in the moment, though that's definitely part of it. It's more like when someone's always choosing their phone over you, it sends a message.
Right. Yeah. Ouch. Like you're less important than whatever's on that screen.
And those little snubs, over time, they add up. They create this distance, this resentment, and suddenly you're not really connecting as deeply anymore.
And this isn't just us speculating, right? The research backs this up.
Oh, absolutely. Studies show that couples who phub each other a lot, they tend to have less intimacy, less trust, less relationship satisfaction overall.
Wow. Okay. Phubbing officially makes the list of things to avoid. But let's say we do manage to look up from our phones. We're still bombarded with everyone else's picture-perfect lives online. How does that play into all this?
Ah, yes. Well, that's where we get into the whole thing about social comparison, right? Our brains are hardwired to compare, to size up the competition. It's primal,
We're basically programmed to check out the competition.
pretty much. And social media, it's like this highlight reel on steroids. Everyone else is on vacation, getting engaged, eating at the hottest restaurants.
Yeah.
It's easy to start comparing our own relationships to these unrealistic standards.
It's like we totally forget that behind that perfect Instagram post, there's probably a pile of laundry and someone complaining about taking out the trash.
Exactly. We're only seeing a tiny, curated sliver of their life, the best of the best. But our brains don't always register that. Instead, we internalize those images, and they start to chip away at our own satisfaction. We start thinking, wait, why doesn't my relationship look like that?
So then how do we deal with that, besides throwing our phones in the ocean, which, sometimes sounds tempting?
Huh. Well, deleting your social media would definitely solve the problem, but it's not exactly practical for most people.
Yeah, gotta keep up with those cat memes somehow.
Right. It's all about balance. For example, being mindful of who you follow. If certain accounts always make you feel bad or envious, maybe it's time for a little unfollow spree.
Like a cleanse for your newsfeed. Out with the fake perfect couples, in with more realistic stuff.
Exactly. And it's not just about what you're seeing, but how you're seeing it. Try to be more present when you are on social media. If you catch yourself spiraling into those comparison traps, just gently remind yourself it's just a highlight reel.
Easier said than done, but I'm willing to give it a shot. But okay, let's talk about another big one, social media and cheating. It's not just about physical cheating anymore, right? Things feel way murkier now.
Oh, for sure. The digital age has brought a whole new set of challenges to relationships. Like, we've got to talk about emotional cheating, those deep, intimate connections you can form with someone online, even if it's not physical.
It's like sliding into DMs, having those late-night heart-to-heart chats with someone who's not your person.
Exactly. And that can be just as damaging as a physical affair, maybe even more so, because it eats away at the foundation of your relationship, the emotional intimacy.
And it's so easy to fall into those traps online. A little harmless flirting here, a late-night chat there. It can escalate quickly.
Totally. That's why it's crucial to actually talk to your partner about what cheating means in the context of your relationship. What are your boundaries? What would make you uncomfortable? Those aren't always fun conversations to have, but they're super important.
Right, because what's considered crossing the line can be different for everyone, I guess.
Exactly. And the research actually shows that just having those conversations, setting those boundaries early on, can make a huge difference. It's not about being controlling or paranoid. It's about being proactive.
So it's like we need a relationship rule book for the digital age, huh? Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, having those open, honest conversations about social media and how it makes you both feel, that's key. It's about finding what works for you both. And that might take some trial and error, some adjustments along the way, but hey, that's part of being in a relationship.
Communication is key. You've heard it here first, folks. But we're just scratching the surface here. There's another layer to this whole social media thing that I find kind of mind-blowing. It's not just what we're doing online, but how it's actually changing the way we communicate,
Yeah.
like in general.
You're so right. It's easy to forget how much our communication habits have changed now that we have texting, emojis, and those 280 character limits. We're so used to communicating these short bursts that sometimes I wonder if we're losing the ability to have those deeper, more nuanced conversations that are so important for intimacy.
Like our attention spans have gone through the shredder or something. We want instant responses. We get bored easily. It's like sometimes we forget how to just be present with another person without checking our phones every 5 seconds.
You hit the nail on the head. And this isn't just about romantic relationships either. It affects our interactions with everyone, friends, family, even colleagues. Being glued to our devices can make us miss those subtle cues, those nonverbal things that are so important for really understanding each other on a deeper level.
It's ironic, right? We think of social media as this great connector, but in some ways it's making us more disconnected than ever. How many times have you scrolled through your phone while sitting right next to someone you love?
Right. It's like this weird paradox of modern life. We're hyper-connected digitally, yet so many of us are craving that genuine in-person human connection.
We're all starved for that eye contact, the undivided attention, the kind of deep listening that makes you feel truly seen and heard.
Yes. It's about quality over quantity, wouldn't you say?
100%. But the question is, where do we go from here? How do we break free from this digital distraction and get back to those real-life connections that actually matter?
I think it starts with awareness. Recognizing how our digital habits are impacting our relationships and our communication skills. And then it's about making different choices. Putting down the phones, being present in our interactions, and practicing those old school communication skills, really listening, having empathy, holding space for another person's experience. It's simple, but not always easy.
Like hitting the reset button on life,
Right.
reminding ourselves that real life is happening right here, right now, not just on our screens.
Exactly. It's about reclaiming our attention, our time, and our ability to connect. It's a battle worth fighting, especially when you consider what's at stake our relationships. And that's with everyone, not just romantic partners.
Right, right. It's about those real life connections, those moments of genuine intimacy and shared experience. That's what truly nourishes us.
Absolutely. Those are the moments that make life worth living.
It's like we need a relationship rule book for the digital age, right? Thou shalt not like thy ex's thirst traps.
Huh. Something like that. No, but seriously, having those conversations early on, before things even become an issue, it can really make a huge difference. It's about being proactive and not like being controlling or anything.
Right, right. Just being on the same page. But okay, so we've talked about how social media can create distance, fuel jealousy, even lead to cheating. But there's another layer to this whole thing that kind of blows my mind. It's not just what we're doing on social media, but how it's changing the way we communicate, period.
You're right. It's easy to forget how much our communication habits have changed. With texting and emojis and those, 280 character limits. We're so used to communicating in these little bursts now. It makes you wonder if we're losing the ability to have those deeper conversations, the kind that are so important for real intimacy.
Like our attention spans have gone through the shredder or something. We want instant responses. We get bored easily. It's like sometimes we forget how to just be present with another person without checking our phones every 5 seconds.
You hit the nail on the head. And this isn't just about romantic relationships either. It affects our interactions with everyone, friends, family, even colleagues. Being glued to our devices can make us miss those subtle cues, those nonverbal things that are so important for really understanding each other on a deeper level.
It's ironic, right? We think of social media as this great connector, but in some ways, it's making us more disconnected than ever. How many times have you scrolled through your phone while sitting right next to someone you love?
Right. It's like this weird paradox of modern life. We're hyper-connected digitally, yet so many of us are craving that genuine in-person human connection. We crave eye contact, the undivided attention, the kind of deep listening that makes you feel truly seen and heard.
We're all starved for it. But how do we actually make a change? Where do we go from here? How do we break free from this digital distraction and get back to those real life connections that actually matter?
Well, I think it starts with awareness, right? Just noticing how our digital habits are impacting our relationships, how we communicate. And then it's about making different choices, putting down the phone more often, being present in our interactions, and practicing those old school communication skills, really listening to each other, being empathetic, just holding space for another person's experience. These things sound simple, but they're powerful.
Like hitting the reset button on life,
Huh.
right? Reminding ourselves that real life is happening right here, right now, not just on these little screens.
Exactly. It's about reclaiming our attention, our time, our ability to truly connect with each other. And yeah, it takes effort. It's a battle sometimes, especially with all these algorithms designed to keep us hooked. But it's a battle worth fighting,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, our relationships are what really matter. And that's with everyone, not just romantic partners.
Right, right. It's about those real life connections, those moments of genuine intimacy and shared experience. That's what truly nourishes us. Like, those are the moments that we'll remember, right?
Absolutely. Those are the moments that make life worth living.
Couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the wild world of social media and relationships. Hopefully, this has given you a lot to think about, maybe even inspired some of those important conversations with your loved ones. Just remember, your relationships are precious. Put down the phone every now and then, be present, and connect with the people who light you up. Until next time.